committed against his legacy and his contribution. And viewers, there are others who say that there was, in fact, not a sin of omission, but a sin of conspiracy, that there was a concerted attempt to wipe out the contribution, or if not wipe out, but certainly seclude in a little bubble his contribution to winning our freedom. Now, viewers, let's speak to Anuj Dhar and Chandrachur Ghose. We also have with us Dr. Anand Ranganathan. All of them hold views, but two have done spectacular research and come up with a book called The Bose Deception. What is this book about? And let's begin this conversation with the authors. So, Chandrachur Ghose, I've read your previous offering, a brilliant 10-year account on the formation of our republic, the first 10 years of our republic, great insights. And Anuj and you, of course, have worked on Bose's enigma, let's put it that way. But you've come up with some astounding truths. And I call them truths because they are based on historical facts gleaned from now declassified files. So, Chandrachur Ghose, what have you found?
First of all, Rahul, thank you very much for having us on your show. It's a pleasure to be here.
That's right.
And yes, talking about this book, why this book, one more book? A lot of people have been asking us, why one more book on Netaji mystery? Because this is a topic on which we have been working on for the last 20 years. So the thing is that this is the first time that any book, any work has been done on the files declassified by the central government and also by the government of West Bengal. And the funny part is probably it's unprecedented that we are the people behind the declassification of those files. So if I might take the credit that we got the files declassified, then we studied it, and then we have produced the book. And at the same time, the government has been sitting, twiddling their thumbs and not coming out with the truth. And what we have tried to show is the truth behind this much vexed question has always been there, hidden inside these files. And any honest government would have come up with the truth much earlier, and they should have done it. So what have we shown in this book? We have shown in this book is that within those government files which we got declassified, and we have studied more than 1,500 files, that is from the government of India, and a few hundred files from other countries like UK, the US, Australia, and so on and so forth. We have studied every page of these files, and we have found that the story that was crafted, that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose died in a plane crash on 18th August 1945 in what is now Taiwan, was a completely fabricated story and crafted to help him escape from the theatre of the Southeast Asian War Theatre. Now, the government of India has always known it. That is what we have shown it. We have shown it that the story is false, and the government of India has always known it. And for the last 80 years, they have deliberately and very consciously suppressed that story, tried to keep it hidden from the people of India. But now we have taken their files and we are putting it up to them that, look, this is what your files contain, these are your documents, and this is the story which comes out of a deliberate suppression of the truth.
So you've knocked the stuffings, really, out of this theory that his plane crashed in Taiwan and that his body was then recovered, and the ashes, or not body really, but the ashes or whatever the remnants were, unfortunately, were recovered and they were kept at this great temple in Japan, etc. All of that now been completely demolished. So that's, now Anuj Dhar, three important facts that made you draw this conclusion. And remember, viewers, this is a Sisyphean labor in the quest for truth, and I'll come to why it's Sisyphean. Dr. Ranganathan is hearing this conversation. We'll talk about that. But Anuj Dhar, not just a labor of love, a Sisyphean labor which has now led you to conclude that the story around the death is a fabrication. What are the three proofs that led you to conclude, or maybe 4 or 5?
Well, there are many, but let me think of these, the three. The first one, of course, is the the wartime inquiries which took place immediately after Subhash was proven, shown to be dead. So those inquiries, they established that the British and the Americans, they did not believe that Subhash Bose had died, and that's how it is. And second thing which I believe, when you look at the inquiries, when you look at the reports from that era, the British in particular came to a conclusion that the only evidence as such for Subhash Bose's death was certain claims made by individuals. So there was no direct evidence by way of any dead body or a picture of it. So the only way to confirm and verify these eyewitness accounts which are massively contradictory was to go to Taiwan and do an on-the-spot inquiry. So right from 1946 onward, the whole crux of the matter, as it was in this case as well, was to go to Taiwan and do an on-the-spot inquiry. Beginning 1946, Government of India had knowledge about these facts, and in fact, in first inquiry was undertaken at the behest of our government in 46. When I say our government, it means the interim Government of India, because by late 1946, the Government of India was being run by Pandit Nehru, who was the interim government head. So if not by 46, by 51, because we have shown records from the government files, you have the then Foreign Secretary writing about it. So by 1951, Government of India was fully aware that the records in Taiwan do not show that Subhash Bose had died in that country, or there was something big, gaping hole which could not be filled. And knowing this thing and the whole story, when I look at it right from 1946 till about 2005, when Justice Mukherjee Commission report is out. So this entire story is nothing but attempting to go to Taiwan, look for records, and all the while we find that the Government of India, is coming in the way. They are obstructing truth. They're coming in the way. They don't want people to know. In the course of
give me some instances of how they came in the
For example, in 1956, there was an inquiry done in Taiwan. It was done at the behest of Government of India. But essentially, the British came to our rescue, and we had an inquiry done. So the British had an inquiry done in Taiwan, and the local authorities did the inquiry. That report, which was produced as a result of this inquiry, it came to a conclusion in a way that the death is not proven. Now, this report was handed over to Government of India in 1956. That day and till date, that report has vanished from India, never been discussed. It's not there in the declassified files here in India. But when we go to
so
the
this
UK,
report is missing.
It's not it's missing in India. So we go to England, British archives and British records. We find that the entire details are available, and the report is available in the British archives. And the last page of the report very clearly says that we have given Government of India 5 copies of this report.
Wow.
So the trail is very clear. So there was an inquiry done, and they came to know this report reached us, and we concealed it. Likewise, in 77, we approached the Americans, and we were looking for information from that side. The Americans informed us there was no direct evidence of Subhash Bose's death. Again, this was hushed up. So likewise, there are multiple examples of Government of India hushing up the case.
And you annotate them.
All of them
there's a lot of correspondence there.
Correspondence.
And a lot of familiar names.
Yes,
let me tell you, people who served in the foreign ministry, etc.
Top level people, foreign secretaries, home secretaries, and the prime ministers. And then the last, of course, if the government has a very peculiar case, when their representative come on television, they speak in a different way. But when they're in court or commission, they speak different. They put out different version. For example, in 1997, this case was again reopened, and then Calcutta High Court, there was a PIL was filed because there was a demand, from certain quarters to, bring Subhash Bose's ashes to India.
Right.
These ashes, which are in Netaji Temple, Japan. So the Chief Justice of Calcutta High Court, Prabhashankar Mishra ji, he actually put to the government council that you tell me what is your government stand. So the government counsel on record, this is part of the court ruling. He admitted that the Priyanka story was not believable. It was full of contradictions. And then there
is an on the record
High Court ruling. Admission, yes. Not only that, thereafter, the commission of inquiry was formed because the court ordered that you are yourself not very clear. So might as well have an inquiry done on this issue. So there was a Mukherjee Commission was formed in 1999 as a result of this particular court order. Before Mukherjee Commission, the commission, the last leg is the argument session whereby the different parties and their lawyers will make their own stand. So the Government of India lawyer, before Mukherjee Commission, I'm talking about like February 2005, when Manmohan Singh ji was in power for quite some time.
Right.
So they, on record, the government lawyer opposed the plain cash story.
My gosh. So Mr. Ghosh, what happened to Netaji? If he didn't die, there was of course a general, they said, who was accompanying him. They found evidence that he had died apparently, or is that also a fabrication?
Well, very recently, actually after the book was published, that we discovered that how the story was fabricated.
Even the death of the general, the Japanese general?
Yes, even the death of the general. And that is the biggest, that is the icing on the cake, if I might say so. What happened is, on 22nd of August, the Japanese government gives out the story that there was a plane crash in Taiwan, and because of the plane crash, Subhash Chandra Bose, along with this Japanese general, whose name was Tsunamasa Shidei, he was flying to Manchuria, and they both died. Now the story, the way it is built is, on 17th of August, Subhash Chandra Bose is in Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, present-day Ho Chi Minh City, and there he boards an aeroplane, a Japanese military aeroplane, which is carrying Japanese soldiers headed by General Shidei. So Subhash Chandra Bose and Habibur Rahman, his ADC, they board that plane, and then they take off, go towards Taiwan. They were going towards Tokyo, that's the story. So they make a stopover at some place at night, and next morning they take off again and land at Taiwan, at Taipei, and then plane, as soon as it takes off, it crashes down, and people die. Tsunamasa Shidei dies instantly. Subhash Bose is taken to a hospital, treated, but he doesn't survive, so he is cremated at the same place, and his ashes are then sent back to Tokyo. Now, how Shidei died and all are not very clear. The details are very vague, and conflicting details emerge from so-called eyewitnesses. Now, after this book came out, and it was brought to our attention that an alternative story has emerged from the Chinese military historians. Like in India, we have the historical department in the Ministry of Defense, who write the most authentic official histories. The PLA in China have their own historians who write their version of the stories. Now, these PLA historians have come out with this account, not one, but many of them, that Shidei was actually traveling in another aeroplane. And with another Japanese general, and Subhash Bose was not linked with that plane at all. And that plane was shot down on the East China Sea. The General Shidei drowned, he perished, and the pilot was captured. The pilot was interrogated, and that record survives.
Thank you all for being here today to celebrate Kash Patel. And I want to hurry and get him sworn in because I'm the happiest person today ever. Please place your hand on the Gita and raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I, Kash Patel, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties of the office of which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You're talking to a first-generation Indian kid who's about to lead the law enforcement community of the greatest nation on God's green earth. That can't happen anywhere else. There will be accountability within the FBI and outside of the FBI, and we will do it through rigorous constitutional oversight starting this weekend. I know the media's in here, and if you have a target, that target's right here. It's not the men and women at the FBI. You've written everything you possibly can about me that's fake, malicious, slanderous, and defamatory. Keep it coming, bring it on. But leave the men and women of the FBI out of it. They deserve better. Anyone that wishes to do harm to our way of life and our citizens here or abroad will face the
Now, Dr. Ranganathan, what do you make of this conspiracy to ghost Netaji? We'll pick up the threads of this, of where Netaji could have gone, but what do you make of this conspiracy? One have to only call it that.
Hello, Rahul, and it's such a pleasure and an honor to be on this panel. In fact, it's a bit embarrassing because half the points that I had prepared, I would say, on this subject, I did not know were going to be from the book that have been written by my very good friends who are sitting right there with you. So please permit me this in transitions. But be that as it may, on a lighter note, can I say that if life gives you Chandrachur, make it a Ghosh and not Dhananjay. But, I want to make 2 points out here. Whatever knowledge I have, as I said, on this subject is through reading the Bose Deception Declassified by, again, my good friend Chandrachur Dada and Anuj Dhar. And the fact of the matter is, this is the book that authoritatively calls into question the government stand that Bose died following a plane crash in Taiwan at the end of Second World War. And of course, the official stand is the result of the first ever comprehensive study of hundreds of files declassified in India and abroad. And the repudiation of it is because these two guys have researched the Bose controversy for 2 decades. In fact, they were the RTI activists, and their efforts led to the declassification of over 1,300 Bose-related documents. For example, did you know, and I certainly didn't, that the Nehru government went all out to prevent Shah Nawaz from conducting inquiry in Taipei, where Bose had supposedly died? Shah Nawaz was the grandfather of Shah Rukh Khan. Or that the Indian government in the 1950s was aware that records in Taiwan did not square up with the claims of eyewitnesses, but did nothing about it. Look, the truth must come out now. And I echo each and every word and statement made by Anuj as well as Chandrachur Da. To the second point, and here, if I may, go a little bit tangential, because of course, as I said, most of the knowledge pertaining to this has already been disclosed by my two good friends. Rahul, you began this program by saying it's perplexing why Netaji is called the Prince of Patriots and not the King. Well, because someone else was made the king. So Netaji should have been made the king, and we all know who that person who was made king was. A man is worthy of respect, Rahul, when his people love him and his enemies fear him, and not the other way around. And that, in short, is the difference between Netaji and Nehru. It took 75 years for a nation to honor one of his bravest, if not the bravest modern Indian. And I'm talking of the recent, consecration by Modi of the India Gate canopy, where a statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose now stands. Let me be clear. We did not win independence because the Sabarmati ka Sant delivered it to us without sword or shield. We won it because Netaji and his INA sent shivers down the spine of the Brits, who anyway were petrified by the naval mutiny and besides were exhausted and bankrupt because of World War II. Let me give you just 4 facts that will expose those who still protest at Netaji being honored. Number 1, Rahul, did you know that the communists have always sneered at Netaji Subhash meeting Hitler, even though they eulogized Mao, who killed 63 million of his own people? Did Netaji meet Hitler? Yes. But did he also condemn the atrocities committed on the Jews? Yes. Fact is, he was so singularly tormented and obsessed with India fighting for its freedom that nothing else mattered. The end justified the means. 2, and while Netaji was fighting for our freedom, the founder of the Communist Party of India, one Mr. Dange, was writing groveling mercy petitions to the British to release him from jail, saying he swears allegiance to the king. And if today you see a communist trying to sneak in and celebrate or honor Subhash Chandra Bose, remind him that Mao and Stalin lovers, that his cult Indian slave colluded and collaborated with the British to betray Netaji and his iron officers. In fact, P.C. Joshi, General Secretary of the CPI, was spying on Bose and his army and passing on vital info to Sir Reginald Maxwell of the Home Department. In fact, S.S. Batliwala of the CPI Politburo corroborates this astonishing fact. Did you know that the Congress and Nehru snooped on Netaji and his family for 2 decades after independence? What can be more treacherous than that? Now for the most cruel and devastating fact. Did you know that the first time the Indian National Army veterans were asked to take part in the Republic Day parade was in 2019?
Yeah.
In 2019, under Modi was the first time. This is how these people have respected Netaji and his amazing army and their contribution to our nation. Left to them, they will bring back the statue of King George from Coronation Park and place it back under the canopy in front of the India Gate. Now just 10 seconds. Having said all this, yes, the fault is of Congress. But as I stand with Anuj and Chandrachur, I have to ask this. What is stopping Narendra Modi from exposing the shenanigans and the charlatan nature of the Congress?
Well,
and I tell you what, this is the problem. You see, in 2012 or 13, during the UPA, the late Mr. Arun Jaitley asked on the floor of the parliament that the government must release the Henderson-Brooks report that talks about why we lost the Indochina War in 1962. And he said it was imperative that India must know this. Then the government's changed. And Mr. Jaitley deleted the blog that he had written in demanding the disclosure of the Henderson-Brooks report.
Well,
till today, the Henderson-Brooks report has never been released.
That's the
so
question.
This is the problem in this country.
So we need to ask, because this is the question that I prefaced. Before we got into this debate, I said that I would ask all of you this question. What's stopping Modi government from putting out the facts? Because the Modi government has shown that it is no friend of the Nehruvian outlook. And if Mr. Nehru, as doctor and you have concluded, were part of this conspiracy to ghost Netaji, then it's in the interests of the Modi government to expose this. So what is stopping them? I can't understand it.
Well, Rahul, let me briefly give you a few points and then probably Anuj can expand on them. Firstly, there is not one single reason, there are multiple reasons. And as we can understand that, firstly, the beginning of the problem, that is the story, is very old. It goes back 80 years. And in the process of suppression, a lot of big names have got involved, not only politicians, but bureaucrats, administrators, and others also. So lies have been weaved around by several people. Their names are bound to get tarnished. So it's natural for any administration to fear the impact of coming out with the complete truth all at once. But I guess that we have that expectation from the Modi government.
Yeah, because Mr. Modi says that he's not part of the system. He's an outsider.
Absolutely.
He's a disruptor.
Absolutely.
So
and that's why we are pinning the hope on him.
Yeah.
That if anybody
but it hasn't
can do
happened.
It's
been
happen.
10, 11 years now.
But
secondly,
the idea is that it's not Nehru's government stopped Shahnawaz from visiting Taiwan. Atal Bihari Vajpayee government did not allow Justice Mukherjee to visit Taiwan. So it's the same argument goes against the BJP governments in the past.
The biggest problem, if I may just take 10 seconds on that, copying my good friend Anand, is that the whole narrative that has been built around Gandhiji, myth of Gandhi, that we achieved our independence through Gandhian means non-violence and satyagraha. And after independence, India has developed into this fantastic Gandhian model of non-violence and peace and love towards everybody. So much of government investment has gone into this. That and the people who have built it for their own
that you can't now shatter this myth.
It will crumble in a second.
It will crumble in a second. But doctor, that's the fundamental question. If you can build a statue, then why not also, that's a symbolic sort of genuflection before the greatness of the man. Why don't you actually then do justice to that greatness by telling the truth about the man?
And this here is a tragedy because with due respect to my brother Chandrachur, that he said what is truth, but it's half the truth, because while the administration would be devastated by some names being released, the question is, why should Modi not release it? And here I'll tell you the reason. Because Modi has appropriated some of these false demigod heroes of Congress, like Mahatma Gandhi. So if his name comes into this question, then Modi wouldn't know what to do, because for Modi, the biggest Mahatma right now is Mahatma Gandhi. And secondly, the point is, when Modi says the truth about Nehru must be out, it is inexplicable The biggest disaster that modern India faced was the Indochina War that was lost by Jawaharlal Nehru. Why wouldn't he still release the Henderson-Brooks report? So that's why I'm saying many of the heroes of Congress have been appropriated by Modi, and that is the reason why he's not releasing
Look,
it.
viewers, you know my views on Mahatma Gandhi. I do believe that he did yeoman service to our cause, to the cause of our freedom. So I mean no disrespect to Mahatma Gandhi ji, and I've always believed that there was a huge role for him to have played. I mean, he gave the movement also, and let's not forget this, a certain cohesiveness by invoking Hinduness, viewers, which upset Jinnah, and in one way exposed the lurch towards separatism that was always sort of, flowing under the surface. So we were thankful to him for doing that, but nonetheless, I don't see the contradiction here, even though, yes, Mr. Modi might have appropriated Mahatma Gandhi, and there's many reasons why not. He should have, because he was a great man, but there is no contradiction here, because even if you were to say that, look, this is what happened to the Prince of Patriots, as much as I don't like saying it, I think no one is going to spin around and say, disavow Gandhiji.
There's going to be a problem. The problem, see, the moment you open Subhash Bose's file, Subhash Bose's case, say for his death, his life and times would come into limelight. And of course, the reason India became free is him, so that's one side. The problem, or the good part with the brand Gandhi is that the conventional or the official government of India narrative that they drove British away using the force of non-violence, it is sellable especially in the Western countries, Europe and America. Now, the problem with the Subhash Bose story, if you tell the truth, and the truth is, India did not become free because of the,
No, I understand that.
And
I don't feel
India became free.
I don't feel it is going to have this sort of impact. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm in denial. Maybe you need people.
India became free because in the Second World War, when the Allies were supposedly
No,
fighting
of course,
for freedom
one
struggle
knows
of the
those
other
facts.
countries, they were not at all bothered about
No
India.
one knows those facts.
India
Mr.
became
Dhar.
free.
I'm on this
India-
point now. Why the truth is still not coming out?
The contradiction,
And
let me point it out to you.
this
The
is one-
contradiction is that we have to take the words of these two great men. I agree with you that Gandhi was a great man, and Subhash Chandra Bose himself coined the phrase father of the nation. He had great respect. But at the same time, he had very categorical opinion about Mahatma Gandhi. He said that Mahatma Gandhi's role has ended in the 1930s. He did yeoman service.
He did say that,
After that, he has no particular role in the building up of modern India. And
then maybe we should take him at his word. And that doesn't still take away from the contribution of the Mahatma. Maybe, viewers, maybe I am idealistic, too idealistic. Maybe I'm too naive. Call me that. But I don't see the contradiction here. I think historical figures should be restored to their glory, especially if they have made a contribution that has gone unrecognized for so long. But this is a longer conversation. We'll definitely have another.